So once again, welcome all of you to the Values for Life series, episode 107, the second last episode, short of the last one. And we've come a long way. We've been very persistent and consistent, I must say, in our journey for Values for Life. And a big welcome, a special welcome to Sister Dipti, all the way from South Africa. Welcome, Sister. And before
Thank
we give it to you, thank you. So this month is a very special month for the spiritual seekers at Brahma Kumaris because we call it the January, the Awaken month, the month of tapasya, the month of intense meditation. And I guess this value really strikes very true for that because we really need to be consistent and persistent in our effort to become very yogi, to become very soul conscious in our each and every task which we are doing. Easier said than done. So let's come to our speaker, who really is an embodiment of soul consciousness, I must say. So Sister Dipti basically has been serving now for almost 40 years, exactly 40 years soon. And she's the coordinator at the Observatory Center for the Brahma Kumaris in Johannesburg. She basically also served rather as the national coordinator for Living Values, which was an educational program in South Africa. And thereafter, she has facilitated various workshops and talks in many different parts of the world, including many different parts of Africa, actually, to name a few: Mozambique, Botswana, Namibia. And we have one of our translators who basically is born from her in one way, Sister Gloria. So Sister Dipti also is a youth coordinator and a part of the core team for the International Youth Development Program. And she's also offered her services to prisons, where she was engaged with the long-term prisoners. And as far as her experience in education goes, she's an edu wellness coach and providing this service since last 30 years. And a few other things that her consultancy work has been in facilitating and mentoring programs for various students at the Cedar City campus in 2008 to 10, where she was facilitating lectures in commerce. So you can see that a lot of Lokik things as well on her plate. And she has also been working with an international dialogue for a few trusts called Matabane Trust and Gap Busters. Both these are USA youth groups, where she had a special dialogue with the youth in South Africa on the pandemic of HIV/AIDS. So she wears a lot of hats in her cap and a lot of feathers, rather. And also, she's done a lot of work in building and opening up quite a few new centers in different parts of the world. And her Lokik degree, she's a BA, a Bachelor in Arts from the Johannesburg University of Witwatersrand. And she says her motto in all work is very nice: keep it simple and uncomplicated. So today here we are, and before I give it to her and Sister Claudia for the official welcoming, a few lines, quite a few lines actually, on today's value and her. So Sister Dipti is endowed with the quality of spiritual proficiency, which makes her in her service field an epitome of efficiency, and raises her level very high without any trace of deficiency, which in turn gives her the spiritual power to deal with any emergency. In the world outside, where there's so much of spiritual poverty and insufficiency, she comes with a lot of knowledge jewels, imparting spiritual sufficiency. Where people portray in their dealings with each other a lot of inconsistency, she provides the true light of how to develop persistency and use our thoughts, words, and actions with perfect coherency so that we can have an action plan for every contingency. And finally, by making our life work on the lines of consistency, we can then fill ourselves with the quality of stringency and spiritual decency. So with this, a big thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. And I'll be seeing you soon in person as well. And we are on our 107th episode, so we'll be having a special welcome from Sister Claudia. And over to you, Sister Claudia. Thank you.
Om Shanti. So nice to have you with us again. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure to have you with us. So I'm sure that we are going to learn quite a bit about this important value, because if we don't have consistency in anything or to be persistent to do the job, nothing can be accomplished. So then there is no success. So that's going to be very nice since you have done so much through your life. And it's going to be good to see what more can we put in our life so we can become more perfect and then we can have more success in life. So I like to welcome you with a very nice rules. It's a special
Thank
rules
you.
from a special place. And
No.
then, so that's all for you. And welcome on this day is so important today. It's, for us, it's still the beginning of the 19th of January.
Mm.
So welcome to us, to you, from all of us.
Thank you so much, Sister Claudia. It's beautiful to be with everyone. I was just saying to somebody earlier on today that values is such a beautiful journey and something that has really supported my life in such a powerful way. Been able to work with values on a very practical level has made me very reflective of certain values in my own life and how they can be practiced. And, last week in our spiritual teachings, something that came very beautifully was that to see how these values work in your life. And for me, it was lovely to digest and see that when I really work with these values in my life, my personality improves, the quality of my behavior changes, the quality at which I can serve others is improved, and that I'm happy. And so I remember these 4 things that were shared with us in our spiritual teachings last week. And as I reflected on it, it really made me aware that when we work with values in a certain way, and we look at our life in the mirror of values, we see how these 4 areas of our life really grows. And so I'm very persistent and committed to the work of values. So it was very beautiful. I think it was in 1995. I was at the headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris, and we had a special meeting, a very beautiful meeting that we have certain times of the year. And I remember being called up on stage when we started the Living Values program. And from the beautiful source, I was told that you will take values where all values are lost. And I always take that personally. And I know that this is God's work for me, to be able to use the values where values are lost. And often when I have the opportunity to go into places that are vulnerable, I know that it's not something that I just do, but it's part of my life's mission. And that God's vision for me is that I should do that, to take back values where all values are lost. So these programs are very special and very beautiful and very close to my heart. And I love today's value when we look at the word consistent and persistent. And as I looked at this value and looked at my own life and asked myself, if I look at the things in my life that I have stayed consistent about, how was that possible? And I think this is where the value has more strength, where I can look into my life and really ask myself the question, what is it that I stand for? What is it that I really want? And where it is that I want to go? I think this is the first question that supports this value of consistency. What is it that I stand for? What do I really want? And where do I want to go? I think if we don't understand that for the self, then anything that we do in our life, we will get distracted and we will not be regular at it if it's not clear for me. And I look at the journey of my life and I know that every day, whatever I'm doing is to take me towards a destination that I value, a destination that means so much to me, a destination that brings me closest to myself. And I think when one is able to see that level of clarity and vision of where it is that I want to go, then the virtue of consistency and persistency becomes a natural tool, a natural value to help you pave that journey. If I'm not clear with myself as to what my life stands for, then many things in my life will come in between and distract me from the things that really means a lot to me. And therefore I can start things and then I forget about it. And especially like in the beginning of the year, people may make nice resolutions for themselves and they say, I'm going to do this every day. And by day 5, they even forgot their resolution. And the reason for that is the vision is not clear. And so how much in my journey I keep that focus. And sometimes it's very beautiful. One thing that I find very useful is every now and again, I take some time and look at my life and say to myself, what is it that I want? What is it that life is calling me to do? One is, what is the self calling me to do? Secondly, what life is calling me to do? And thirdly, what is God calling me to do? If I don't have the pull, I won't have the push. The consistency comes as a push in a natural way when there's a pull. So if I know that there's something that life is asking of me, God is asking of me, my higher self is asking of me, then I know that every day I need to work towards that destination. So that is the first aspect about consistency. And it's often important to take that time and reflect in a very powerful way on that journey and know where I'm going to. If I look at the things in my life that I do daily, no matter what the circumstances may be, there are certain aspects of my life that I do daily which are non-negotiable. What keeps me consistent and what keeps me persistent is I recognize its value. And I recognize that if I stay on that path, it will take me to where I want to be. If there's no recognition, there cannot be consistency. So that first area of recognition of my life's journey is a very important one. The second aspect I find that also supports me in the journey of being consistent and persistent in that way is to sustain a certain flow of energy. So it's not just about intention. Many of us in the beginning of the year or when we start something, we have a good intention. And therefore we say we're going to do this because I value it. But it's not about just having intention. It's about sustaining an energy. So for example, if I have to break it down practically, I would say to myself that my life's journey is a much more bigger picture. It's not about just getting up every day and going through my life. But I believe that I'm in a very important time of human history. And during this time, I want to accomplish the highest in my journey. I believe in that, and I want to go that journey. So my intention is very clear. But along that, on a daily basis, there are certain energies that I want to sustain. I know for the flow to happen, to be consistent, I need to stay in my peace. I need to stay in my love. I need to stay in my purity. I need to stay in my spiritual power. And I need to be happy, which in the Brahma Kumaris we call the original qualities of the soul. If I keep these qualities activated in my life's journey, then I sustain an energy flow. You can't be consistent at something when you're miserable. You can't be consistent at something when you are upset. You can't be consistent at something when your heart is heavy or unhappy. So what supports that level of consistency is these qualities which are the fuel of the soul. So for example, I make it more practical again for you. I need to reach from point A to B because I know B is my destination and I want to go there. So every day I decide I'm going to walk that path. But in order to walk that path, I need to be nourished to walk that path. If like you're taking a physical walk and you want to reach somewhere, along the way you may say to yourself, I may need water, I may need food, I may need certain things. So to keep the walking happening consistently, I need to carry certain things with me to support my journey. So again, consistency is able to take you forward when you have the support of the original qualities of the soul. So when I'm able to hold on to that peace, the peace will give me the clarity always to walk the road. The love will give me the encouragement, the support. The purity will give me the safety to walk the journey deeply. The happiness will give me lightness to say, you can do it. And the spiritual power will give me the inner strength to reach the purpose. If I'm practicing consistency and persistency without the original qualities of the soul, it's just a matter of time. I'm going to get frustrated. I'm going to get tired. I'm not going to feel nourished enough to take the journey forward. And so anything in your life that you want to be consistent about, you have to love it. If I look at the founder of the Brahma Kumaris, Brahma Baba, whose life we celebrated yesterday, very, very powerfully. He took leave from us on the 18th of January, 1969. But in his life, he was able to accomplish everything he did because he was consistent at who he was. But he never just did it because it had to be done. He had love. He had love for himself, he had love for humanity, and he had love for God. And because he had the strength of love, he was able to remain consistent. And so many things in our life, if I want that journey to be something that is flowing, an energy that is flowing, it's not something I'm just doing, but an energy that is flowing. It has to be nourished by the original qualities of the soul. Then that journey makes me consistent. I have the fuel to continue. Sometimes when people hear the word consistent, synonymously they may use the word you are regular at something. The beauty on our spiritual path when we practice values is, yes, you need regularity. You need a level of discipline. But in your regularity that you have, you need to have freshness, newness, and creativity. If I don't have freshness, I don't have newness, I don't have the level of creativity, my consistency will not be a genuine one. Because consistency is an energy flow that I'm using this energy to keep moving, to keep moving, to keep moving forward. But as I'm moving forward along that journey, I need to be creative. So for example, if I look into my own spiritual life, there's certain things in my life that are non-negotiable. I love to get up early in the morning and meditate. And for me, it's non-negotiable. And I value it very much because I know it's going to help me towards my destination. But I don't just go sit there every day and say, okay, I've sat and I've meditated. How much am I fresh? How much is there newness? How much is the meditation that I'm having filled with the most fresh energy of this is my moment. This is my powerful moment in which I need to accomplish something. So consistency and persistency, if we are using these words simultaneously together, what keeps me going? What keeps me going to be consistent is the level of freshness. And think about it in your life. If there's something you are doing every day and you're doing it regularly, but you don't keep it fresh, you don't bring in a level of creativity into it, after a while you're going to get bored. And as you get bored in what you're doing, your tendency to maybe not do it becomes stronger. And so, it's not about just what I do, it's what I do with it. So, for example, I know that my morning meditation is very valuable to me, and I want to make it a beautiful, powerful, fresh experience of my life. So at night before I go to sleep, I prepare for it. Every night before I go to sleep, I write a letter to God. And I say that tomorrow morning, I call God Baba and I say, Baba, tomorrow morning, this is something I really want to work on with you. So when I meet you at 4 tomorrow morning, I want to take this power from you. So yes, I'm there at 4 o'clock, but I've gone into that space with a fresh new energy. I've engaged myself in that moment. So consistency requires regularity, but regularity with freshness and creativity. Now, make it new every day. It's like somebody who's walking a long path, and if they don't, along the way, find creative ways to keep moving, they will get bored. So sometimes, for example, you're on a long trip somewhere and you're all in the car together, and you know it's a long trip. And sometimes I know when I used to travel long distance by car, we used to play games in the car, and we'll say, I spy the color red. And then we look for something on the roadside that was in the color red or the color blue. It's like creativity. It's about being, so that when you are along your journey, you stay fresh. Anything that makes you tired will soon die. You can have the best intention in your life, but if you get bored with that intention, you can never sustain it. That's why one of the most powerful spiritual tools that we learn when we want to sustain a value is you have to revisit it every day. You have to revisit it as you start your day, throughout the day, and at the end of the day, you need to be accountable. Because when you stay accountable on that journey in that way, then the energy will flow. When I'm consistent at something, another important ingredient of that is a growing energy. Yeah. Somebody may say that, yes, I do this every day. I'm consistent at it. But I have to ask myself frankly, am I growing? Why am I consistent? And to check the self, am I growing? Am I coming closer to my destination? If you are not growing, then maybe your consistency is not a healthy consistency. It's just a mere routine that you've kept to, and you've ticked off the box to say, yes, I did this, 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 this. But like this morning, we learned in our morning class that if my journey is not filled with the height of experience, the greatest authority we have in our life's journey is experience. And so in my consistency, I'm not growing into the depth of experience. Then that growing energy will not be there. So every day I'm consistent about something. But together with that, it must fill me with experience. And think about it in your life. Things that you've experienced deeply will be the things that will then help you to move forward. If you're on a long path of your life and you don't have experiences along that path, then over a period of time, you will get bored. And over a period of time, because you're not having an experience along the way, you go flat as such. There's no enthusiasm. When there's a growing energy in your life, when experiences grow in your life, you become enthusiastic. Sometimes when I feel that certain experiences in my life are growing, then I want to do more of it. I feel these experiences are making me grow. So I'm at it more and more. But if you're not having experiences, you will not have enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is one of the powerful energies that will allow you to stay consistent. No enthusiasm, no consistency. So again, to go back into your life, and as we looked at that first point about vision, what's my vision of my life? What is it that is calling me to and pulling me towards it? And to ask the self, in this last month, in this last year, in the last decade of my life, have I grown on that journey? We have to check very honestly, because the more you grow, the more your stamina will increase, and that will keep you consistent. So sometimes along this journey of being consistent and the whole aspect of being able to move forward, sometimes there are certain things that come in the way that stops me from being consistent. And I want to look at 3 of those today, which was a very deep lesson for me, actually just from our morning's class today. Because when I heard it this morning, I really thought about how these 3, if they're not full in me, then I can't be consistent. And the first one is self-respect. If you have self-respect, you can carry that baton and keep moving forward. But if you don't have self-respect, when the challenges come in life, you begin to doubt yourself. You may not see its value. And as you don't see its value in that way, you begin to not show interest in it. And you may think, well, somebody else can do this better than me, because you doubt yourself. And so a big step and a big area of consistency is to check deeply, how much do I respect myself? Self-respect is a powerful pathway to remain consistent. Think about the time in your life when something that was so good for you, but then you just gave it up. Maybe let's look at it physically. Maybe you knew that if you drink water every day, you just feel so much healthier. Simple practice every day. But then something happens in your life's journey and you get distracted, and after a while, you give up the very thing that is going to help you. And because you give up the very thing that's going to help you, it's like you don't respect yourself. You know? In your spiritual journey, for example, you want to move forward in that way. But then something happens and you may feel, I'm not valuable enough. And so then I don't make that effort daily. And if I don't make that effort daily because I'm doubting myself, then I'm the one that falls. It's like when you don't have self-respect, you compromise on the things that are so good for you because you get distracted. And then that consistency of who you are then breaks. And so a very powerful ingredient on the journey of being consistent is to know who you are and have the self-respect. If I look at the mentors in my life, I look at the founder of the Brahma Kumaris, Brahma Baba. I look at our senior daddies. I look at the people in my life that have helped me so much. What is it in their life that kept them so consistent in what they did till the very end, till the very last breath of their life? Is because they recognize who they are and had the self-respect of knowing who they are. Even if I just know that and believe deeply that I'm God's child and I have a higher purpose to accomplish in my journey, excuse me, then when I have that level of self-respect, I don't break the thread. Because consistency is like a thread. In order for that thread to flow, my respect has to be great. And the second aspect that also came up for me this morning was the whole aspect of being a self-sovereign. So one is the self-respect, but the second is to be a self-sovereign. That means there will be things in your life that at times will distract you and say, oh, today you don't have to do it. Like I enjoy my morning meditation, or I like to write a letter to God every night. I like to make certain spiritual practices deep. But sometimes things can happen and something in your mind can say to you, oh, not today. You can do it tomorrow. It's okay. You did well every other day. But then the self-sovereign will say, no, sorry. Even against what is along my way, I'm the master. I will make the decision. I'm not going to let my old sense cars or my personality or the drama of my life let me make decisions. And so self-respect and the level of being a self-sovereign. It's when that sovereignty is there, I can be consistent and persistent. If I don't create mastery over myself, then this whole value of consistency is just technical. It's a very technical process where I say, yes, I'm consistent at this every day. But there's no life in it. I'm just doing it. I'm not growing. I'm not happy. I'm not reaching my destination. So the underlining thread that keeps that consistency is self-respect and being a self-sovereign. And then the third S that came up in our morning class today is you find solutions. So sometimes in life, things do happen. And something that you value so much, for some reason or the other, you may not be able to be consistent about it due to circumstances. Maybe it is a change in your job. Maybe it's a change in your demographics. Maybe it's a change in your health. Many things happen. These things do happen in life. But let it not stop me. There is always another way. So I need to find a solution. Let me not just stay at the problem. The problems will come because life's journey is like that. But to find a solution is a very important aspect towards consistency. And the fourth S is in a second. That means don't take too long. You know, any practice that you are challenged by, you know that is important for you. If you give it up for a day, the next day you may give it up even more. And by the third day, you even forgot that you had such a beautiful practice. You know, sometimes certain people, they start off something and one day they miss something because maybe their body was unwell. But then the next day they say, okay, today too, I just need to take a break. Just in a few days' time, you forgot this wonderful effort that you're making on yourself, and something else has taken over. So in this journey of consistency, these 4S that came up in our morning class today, for me are so important. Stay in your self-respect. Be a self-sovereign. Find the solution and don't take long. Change it in a second. When these areas in your life become strong in that way, then many things can change. And so we see along this journey and this whole focus of our life space where we are able to develop this journey of consistency. It's a very, very practical method. And from what you may be hearing till now, it's really about an energy flow. When something is consistent, there's an energy flow. Yeah. It's like a river. When it's consistently flowing, then it develops more and more of an undercurrent that gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And then as it moves, it's able to overcome the rocks and the turbulences along the way and really reach the ocean. And this is our journey. For me, I feel like my life is like a river and my connection with God is like the ocean. But I have an aim. This river has to reach the ocean. And so there will be things along the way. In some places, the river may run dry, but I can't forget my identity. I am a river. And my journey is to meet the ocean. So consistency and that level of persistency comes from a very broad space and a very natural space. You know, sometimes in life, we find certain people are doing something and we see them doing it every day and they look so good at what they do. And then one day you ask, where is this person? They used to be here every day. What happened to them? And they say, oh no, something happened and they're no longer coming. And in those moments, you begin to ask yourself, the things that you are doing, from what space are you doing? Because if it's just a ritual, if it's just a pleasing energy, if it's just out of fear, if it's just out of ticking off the box, I can't last. There'll be things that happen along the way and I'll drop. But when I do things from the heart, a powerful ingredient in being consistent is when I do things from the heart. Anything that you do from your heart, anything that you do out of a deep space of experience grows. Another aspect that I want to take up about consistency is to realize that consistency has to take place at 4 levels of my life's journey. I can't just say I'll be consistent in one area of my life's journey, because we are metaphysical beings. And so I need consistency on 4 levels of my life's journey for the whole energy to flow. So the first area of my consistency is to ask myself, what do I do for myself physically every day? For my growth, for my well-being, for me to reach my destination. And at least write down 5 things that you are determined to do physically every day. Because remember, we have human bodies and we need stamina to reach where we want to reach. I can have the best intention in my heart and mind, but if my body is not well, if I'm struggling, then I can't do what I want to do. And so how it's so important on that level to really just ask the self physically, what are 5 things that I will do every day for myself? Whether it's certain things that you will eat, certain things that you will drink, certain exercises that you'll do. I know for me, I struggle. I try my best to be consistent, but I'm at it. I know that at times certain other things take priority, and I start off and I stop, and I start off and I stop. But I don't give up, because I know that it's important for me. So make a list in that way of 5 things for you that you will do physically and make it non-negotiable. And then emotionally. Very often in our life's journey, we break our thread because we get emotionally caught up in things. So the question that will come is, how do I protect myself emotionally so that I will continue to move forward? So, for example, one of the things that I will stay alert of emotionally so that I don't break my thread of consistency is not to allow the past to keep interfering. Because when I allow the past to interfere, I get emotionally caught up in the baggage. And when I'm emotionally caught up in the baggage, I don't have the stamina to move forward. So don't let the past interfere. You know, we were taught, let the past be the past. It's not always easy, but it's very important. And so when I'm able to work from that space of protecting myself emotionally and not allow the past to take over, then I can move forward and be consistent. Sometimes when the past is interfering, I may be feeling guilty, I may be feeling bad, I may be feeling sad. And all these things distract me from my journey. Another thing that I've always told myself that helps me to keep moving forward emotionally, I say to myself, Dipti, don't take things personally. Certain things can happen in life. And once Daddy Janki, a very senior, our daddy, who had a deep, deep influence in my life, She one day said to me, Dipti, never ever get disheartened. It's dangerous to get disheartened. Disheartenment will destroy you. And she said, don't put certain things in your heart. Because once you put it in your heart, it will break you. So don't allow yourself in that way to get disheartened. And so when I take things personally, I take many things in my life personally. Somebody says something and then I think, yeah, this is me, or this is how they always treat me, or they always say these things about me. Whatever it is, don't take it personally. When certain comments are made, just look at it with the attitude, this is for my growth. This is not for me to dampen my spirit. It's here to help my growth. So when I stay clear about certain emotional ways of being, then I can stay consistent. Another aspect of emotional space is keep it light, keep it easy. Anything you become heavy about doesn't let you move forward. It puts a strain on you. And so, again, look at how healthy is your emotional state. One is your physical state. Secondly is your emotional state. And really the emotional state I'm talking about is my response to life's journey and people. And the third aspect, which I need to keep healthy and be consistent about, is my mental state. My mental state is about how much am I learning, how much am I growing. Like we said in the beginning, to keep it new, to be able to bring freshness in something. And so if I've done things like I've always done before, I'll get bored. So what am I doing on a daily basis that is keeping me stimulated, that is making me grow in life? What am I learning? If you don't learn, you lose. When you don't learn, you get lackadaisical in life. Mental stamina and mental stimulation is very, very important in the journey of being consistent. So I need to see how healthy am I in my mental state. And then finally, my spiritual state. What is the relationship I have with myself? What is my relationship with God? If these two areas of my life are strong, then I'm able to go forward in life with the level of consistency. If I don't take enough time to develop that strong bond with God, I will never have the power. I won't have the fuel. I won't have the stamina to keep moving forward. This morning, one line that came up very beautiful in our morning class is, do you have yoga or do you have a yogi life? And so it's not just now and again I tune into God and say, okay, I need to connect, but how I keep that thread strong. I keep the connection strong so that whilst I'm going forward in my life, I'm able to go through with a deep space of spiritual strength. So we see today when we talk about consistency, we highlighted 6 areas. The first area is vision. Where is my vision? Where do I want to go? The second area we highlighted is, do I know what I really want and where I want to go? So to know the pathway. And thirdly, to see how am I sustaining that energy. And there we talked about the peace and the love and the purity and the joy and the inner power. And then the fourth area we looked at was the whole aspect of inconsistency. We need regularity. But in regularity, we need freshness, newness, and creativity. If the freshness, newness, and creativity is not there, then I can't move forward. I'll get bored. When I get bored, I stop doing something. The fifth area we looked at, or the fourth area, actually the fifth area we looked at was how much am I growing? You because if I'm not growing in experiences is what will give me the enthusiasm to move forward. If I'm not growing in experience, then my enthusiasm stops. And when my enthusiasm stops, there cannot be consistency. And then on the 6th level, we talked about the distractions that stop that space. And that is when my self-respect is challenged, when I'm not a sovereign of myself, when I get caught up in problems rather than solutions. And how long do I take? Today's formula was quickly, in a second, change it. And lastly, in conclusion with all of that, in the 7 aspect is keep growing in 4 areas of your life: physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Then we can keep moving forward. So, yeah, I love this topic so much. So my heart just kept speaking. But how am I doing for time, Manoj Bhai? Or if we want
Time
to
is
have
up.
a discussion around this. Yeah.
And we have questions for you. So is that okay? We'll start taking questions.
Sure. Yeah.
Great. So actually, we wanted to summarize, but you yourself summarized the 5 or 6 things which you said. So fantastic. So which shows this topic is very close to your heart. Just a question has popped up right now. I'll ask that first because it's a very interesting question. That how to deal with a bully person, a person who bullies a lot and keeps my consistency.
So again, I find that it's got to do about, for me, there will be certain people in your life who over a period of time can be a challenge to your journey of consistency. But don't get stuck there. Firstly, the person who's bullying you, don't give them the power in your mind to say they're a bully. Already you're giving them power. Realize that it is important that somebody has made something a little difficult for you to be consistent. But if you have your own self-respect, you're not going to stop there. It's like a big rock is on your flow of energy. But after a while, the water has the wisdom to go around the rock. Things will happen in our life, but don't give negative energy power. If 10 times I've made the bully a bully in my mind, I've given that person all my power. When you realize something is happening, ask yourself, I can't change them, but how am I going to look after myself? And how am I going to go through this differently? There was time in my life when I wanted to do things, and people around me ordered my life and told me what to do. But Daddy Jenki told me, don't ever show disrespect to them, but at the same time, never compromise what you want to do. And years later, I'm doing what I want to do, and nobody could stop me. So don't give weak energies, frightening energies, so-called negative energies power. I know it's very real, but it's up to us how we respond to it.
Wonderful. Someone is asking, you spoke a lot about what to stand for and what is the purpose in my life about your life. So he's saying, how do I know what is the purpose of my existence in life? How to know the purpose of my life?
Nice question. It's a question that comes up quite often when people are reflecting on their life's journey. And very often, when people think about what is the purpose of my life, they synonymously look at it with what is it that I need to be doing. Sometimes people say, what is it that I'm supposed to do in my life? What I have to do? But I have learned over a period of time is what do I want to be? Because when you stand for what you want to be, the drama of life orchestrates itself to support you, to allow your real purpose to unfold by itself. I'll give you a very real example of this in my own life. Many years ago, I was a school teacher. And I taught in a school which was really challenged by values. And values meant a lot to me. And I wanted to allow those values to touch many lives. So firstly, I never gave up on myself. I stood by on the values I believed in. And I kept giving it life. And whilst I was teaching, an amazing opportunity came up for me when individuals said, you are making a difference to one class. What if I give you such a job and make you my social responsibility, and you can do this work for many, many other schools? And I remember for 7 years, I had the opportunity of being able to do that kind of work through a certain company who took me on as their social responsibility. And I was able to continue to do the work of values to reach many. I didn't know that was my life's purpose. But if I look at it even till today, a lot of exchange in my life is the exchange of empowerment and the exchange of values and the exchange of growth. Be so clear as to what you want to be. And in your being, it will manifest as what your drama will show you. But if you don't know what you stand for in terms of what you are, like I give you a practical example. I wanted my life to be peaceful. I wanted my life to be significant. I didn't just want to be a teacher and do my work as a teacher every day in and out as a routine. I wanted to change lives. My purpose in life is to change lives the way God has helped me change my life. That's my purpose. So I have to be. How it's going to happen will come in different packages. But that's my purpose. I want to change my life and change many lives. So start being, and the drama of life will cooperate with you.
Wonderful, amazing answer. So it's really an inspiring purpose that what to be, what should I be? Another thing which you spoke about was the consistencies, which we also speak related to when we define health, that health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, emotional, and spiritual well being, and not merely absence of disease. So, this brother is asking about the physical aspect of consistency, that how can I become consistent in doing physical exercise? And he's a regular brother of our series. Should we do it 21 days, 101 days, or 254 days? I don't know where he's got this 101 and 254. We have heard 21. So how many days should I do it to make it a regular habit?
Thank you, brother. Whoever you've asked the question, you must help me too. Because this is one area of my life I know I need to be consistent about. And I know it's very important to me. And I keep starting. And I never give up on myself. But I have to work through my own blockages so that I stay consistent. So, my brother, whoever you are that has asked the question, when you find what really works for you, please share it with me as well. It will probably help my growth too. But I do believe that we need to have a target. And I know I recognize its value, but this answer I can't give you because I don't practice it fully myself.
Right. So it has backfired to him. So he should, so he can give us an answer after 21 days, maybe, and let us know. Thank you. Let's move on to another interesting question that, yeah. So person is saying that I am very successful, but I am not consistent. I'm quite lazy and laid back. So what is all this fuss about consistency?
I think consistency is not in just what you achieve. Consistency is about your state of being. Many people achieve a lot, but sometimes they're not happy. Many times people have all their boxes ticked because on one level they have achieved, but on another level there is an emptiness. I think at times we judge our value or our success at one level. But if the other areas of my life where we talked about emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being is not growing at the same time, it's a matter of time it will catch up, where you have to turn to it. I know somebody who I know who was very successful. They could do so well. They didn't have the fuss of studying hard and doing anything. Life was very easy for them. And so they achieved a lot. And they also mentioned to me, I don't know what's this hard work about. Life's okay. But they didn't have inner resilience. So when suddenly something in a different facet of their life challenged them, they weren't prepared for it. And so it's about a whole rounded approach on all areas of my life. So not to be lulled by saying, okay, I'm okay in this sphere, but all four spheres of my life need to be well, so that when things happen in my life, I have the resilience and the capacity to respond.
Interesting. So another unique question is that it's a little bit long question. How do you deal with a situation where some people are offering you what you don't want or need? They're just thinking it's their responsibility and they're very persistent about it. And they think it's charitable. So is it that they want something from me?
So we're going to have a variety of people in our life that think and know what's good for me. But we also need to know what's good for ourselves. And along this journey, it's not about being rude with someone or offensive to them because they think this is what I need. But I need to be able to work in such a space where I define myself in a very clear way in my life's messages by just who I am. And over a period of time, the people in my life, if I am consistent about my being, if I'm consistent about my behavior, I'm consistent about my time, I'm consistent about a certain lifestyle that I live, who I am will give a message. And I find over a period of time, people then stop doing that to you. We can't stop people, but we can start being who we are in a more powerful, genuine, clear way. And our life will give a message. And this allows people then not to keep, because sometimes people think they're doing you a favor or they love you and they care for you. And so this is good for you. So all these kind of energies do come, or sometimes they want to give you things because they feel that that will keep your connection with them strong. Maybe they need attention. But when you do it in the right way, they won't feel neglected either, because we mustn't disrespect people. But at the same time, live your life so powerfully clear that people know how far to go without you offending them.
Right. So set your limits for boundaries, but without offense and offending them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know about this big festival going on in India called the Mahakumbh, which happens once in 144 years, and the small Kumbh Mela happens once in 6 years. So someone's asking that I want to visit there because I want to have a holy dip in the holy river, the holy Ganges. And can I develop consistency, at least physical consistency?
Does it mean like stamina?
I mean, for consistency, you spoke about the four aspects: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. So he's not interested in the spiritual consistency. He's interested in the physical one. So can I just have a holy dip in the holy river, in the holy Ganges, and develop consistency just by merely having a dip in the holy river?
We are metaphysical beings. So if things in our life have to change, I can't do it just at one level. Maybe if you do go and have this dip, and it may be a wonderful experience for you, it may rejuvenate you, it may feel good, it may inspire you forward. But as we said, all four levels of our life need that support. So we need to grow on all these levels. So I don't see anything wrong if that's what you'd like to do. Many do that. But remember that life is more than the obvious. So ask your heart deeper, what else is needed for your deeper level of consistency, and acknowledge it for yourself.
Interesting, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I know our time is up, but I just wanted to ask you a last question about your experience with the, as you all call the dadis, the seniors of our organization. Any personal experience where a senior instrument who you have been in touch with, say Dadi Janki or the others, where they have shown really a lot of consistency on a spiritual level and persistency as well?
I think it's my journey with Daddy Janki. And I felt a beautiful word that I would like to exchange with the word consistency. Is I found that I felt that Janki invested a lot in my life because she believed in who I am and what I could do. And over a period of time, I may have not had recognized it in the beginning of the kind of support I was receiving from her for my growth. But as life unfolded, and even now, years later, after Dadi has taken leave from the physical, I really feel that her consistent good wish and belief in me gives me the courage to keep moving forward. Daddy never gave up on me, even if I never recognized who I am. And today, when I look at certain things that she shared in conversations with me, and I was lucky enough that every time I've had some conversation, I had a book, and even the most obvious things I wrote down, because years later in life, I realized they weren't just obvious things. She was seeing a future, and she was supporting a future. And so I think in this word consistency, in this context, is the whole journey of the whole area of somebody investing in you and believing in you to take you forward.
Yeah, wonderful.
Very
Thank you
beautiful.
so much. And I would now request Sister Claudia to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, Sister Claudia.
It was very nice to hear you talking. One point that you said about the values. I have the lucky to be part of one team that we teach values for the poor kids, and we see how they grow. They grow from that as very low life to become a professional. So it's a kind of a values, like you say, we really is part of our life, and more we grow with them. That's why I think it is we are persistent on doing these values for so many years already because we see the value on that value program. So, but I like to see when you talk about that to be consistent, we need to go back to the original qualities. And that's going to help us to really grow and become more consistent what we are doing. And also what Daddy Junkie told you, don't get disheartened. I see many times people get disheartened very easy and then they kind of stop that enthusiasm. And so they don't have, like you said, the histamine to be able to do things more. So thank you very much. It was very nice to hear from you. And I hope to see you in Madhuban and then in another time as well here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. It's lovely to be with you.
And thank you so much. So before we move on to the closing meditation, over to Sister Anu for the announcements and the photograph. Over
Sure.
to you.
Give me 1 second. So thank you so much, yes, Sister Dipti, for really giving such elaborated breakdown of, knowing how to be consistent, starting from having a vision and keeping the energy flowing. It's really amazing. And we all definitely have thoroughly benefited and will come back to check it thoroughly for ourselves to take it on. So as we always do, the next one will be after 1 week, our workshop on persistency and consistency. So the first hour will be experiential exercises and second hour will be further insightful talk and meditation by Sister Mara Gomes from Portugal. So she was here in our series before as well. So join us then. It's Saturday, 25th January, 6:30 a.m. for West Coast time. That is 8 p.m. India time. And our next episode, episode 108, that is our concluding episode for this series, would be on sustenance in Hindi Palna. And really very empowering series. It was 4 years. How much we got from all the Senior Raj Yogis and on every value so deeply, so practically we have taken. For myself, I can't even express how wonderful was the journey. But we are wrapping up on episode 108 with sustenance. And for that, we'll have our senior sister, Jayanti Didi, who is the additional chief and administrative head and European director of Brahma Kumaris. It will be again on Sunday after 2 weeks, 2nd February, same time, 7 a.m. And 8:30 p.m. for India time. So please mark your calendar and join us. And you can check more information about our programs on our websites. That's vihasa.in and vancouver.brahmakumaris.ca. And our today's session, as well as other videos, will be on our YouTube channels, as well as our playlists, if you can take a note here. So thank you, everyone. And there will be wonderful announcements as well coming up, that we are creating a book of all the sharings that has come from the seniors, and we'll share with you all as we come closer to it. And yes, before going to meditation, this is our time to have a spiritual photograph. So you all can open your video and we memorize this moment with Sister Dipti. So whoever wants to be in the photograph. Okay, I got it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So let's now move into the meditation. So it is appreciated if you all can keep your videos on and get this spiritual, powerful drishti from Sister Dipti. And over to Sister Dipti. So whether it's a commentary or just plain drishti, over to you.
In the stillness of this moment, I activate my inner resource. I awaken my being. And with the clarity of my mind, I see my future. I travel towards that future with recognition and love. I stay consistent. Om Shanti.
So thank you so much once again for your commentary and the wonderful sharings.
Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. See you again soon. Bye now. Thank you, Sister Dipti.